In the far reaches of the Milky Way, life took many forms. Some worlds were peaceful, their skies calm and their creatures gentle. Others were chaotic, planets where storms never rested, beasts hunted from the moment they were born, and even the air could turn deadly in a heartbeat. These worlds were called Deathworlds, and the creatures that survived there were not like others. They were stronger, faster, and far more adaptable. Humanity came from one such place, Earth. While many alien civilizations grew up under mild suns and calm seas, humans rose from a planet that seemed to hate them. Volcanoes, predators, diseases, and endless wars, Earth gave them everything except mercy. And in return, humanity learned to endure anything. When humans first stepped into the stars, most alien species avoided them. They called Earth a Class 5 Deathworld, a title that sounded like a warning. Many species thought humans were too violent, too unpredictable, and too emotional to belong among the stars. But time proved them wrong. After centuries of exploration, humans discovered they were not the only Deathworlders. There were others, species who had also survived impossible planets. Some came from gas giants filled with acid rain, some from frozen worlds where fire could barely burn. Others evolved in jungles so dense that light was a stranger, and slowly they found one another. At first there was mistrust. Every Deathworld species believed their kind was the strongest, the smartest, or the most stubborn. But when the first galaxy-wide war broke out, the War of the Shattered Rings, they realized a hard truth. Their survival instincts worked best when they worked together. The war had begun when a powerful expansionist empire, the Ynnari Dominion, tried to enslave weaker worlds. The Dominion had technology far beyond anything the younger races could match. They didn't fight with soldiers, they fought with machines. Perfect and precise, built for domination. One by one, planets fell. The Veshian mind singers lost their homeworld when the Dominion hacked their telepathic network. The Tarkhan, a race of scaled giants, were forced off their desert planet by orbital bombardment. Even humanity's colonies burned under the Dominion's fleets. It was Captain Ronan Hale of the Earthship Vanguard who first proposed the impossible, an alliance between the Deathworld species. His message to the surviving leaders echoed across every desperate channel. They call us monsters because we come from worlds that kill. Maybe they're right. But if the galaxy needs monsters to survive, then so be it. Let's show them how the strong endure. That speech changed everything. Within months, old rivals met for the first time, not as enemies but as survivors. The Deathworld Alliance was born. The founding species were few: humans, Tarkhan, Veshian, Taquar, and Droln. Each brought something unique. Humans brought tactics and unpredictable creativity. The Tarkhan offered strength and unmatched courage in battle. The Veshian offered telepathic coordination across fleets. The Taquar, insectoid engineers from a jungle world, brought machines that could rebuild themselves mid-battle. The Droln, slow-moving but brilliant, crafted energy shields that could absorb the light of a small sun. Together, they were unstoppable. The Dominion expected fear, but found fury instead. When the Alliance fleet struck back, they fought differently from any army in the galaxy. They didn't use predictable strategies or cautious lines. They fought like survivors, turning every weakness into a weapon. Humans rigged asteroids with fusion cores. Tarkhan warriors rode boarding ships directly through enemy shields. Veshian telepaths confused Dominion AIs by sending false signals. In less than a year, the Alliance broke the Dominion's main fleet and liberated dozens of worlds. But victory came with a cost. Every battle stretched their strength thinner. The Dominion collapsed, leaving wreckage and ruined systems behind. The Alliance had won, but it had seen what true power looked like, and that was when the real story began. It started with a signal. A deep space monitoring post on the edge of Alliance space picked up something strange, a faint, rhythmic pulse echoing through subspace. At first it looked like background noise, the kind of static you hear between stars. But the pattern repeated. Every 67 seconds, perfectly timed. It wasn't natural. Commander Lyra Vaughn, a Taquar engineer stationed at the post, ran every test she knew. The signal wasn't like anything the Alliance had seen. It wasn't a transmission or a distress call or even a coded message. It was more like a heartbeat. Then, one day, it stopped. A week later, ships began disappearing near the signal's last known coordinates. Not just merchant freighters or scouts, warships. Even the drone defense cruiser Fortitude, equipped with their strongest shields, vanished without a trace. When the Alliance investigated, they found only debris, melted metal drifting in perfect silence. The message was clear. Something new was out there. Captain Ronan Hale, now Admiral of the Alliance fleet, gathered his officers aboard the Vanguard's successor, the Iron Resolve, a massive flagship built from human and alien technology alike. Around him stood representatives of every founding species. The holotable in the center of the command room displayed a single black object moving through space. It was larger than any known ship, larger even than a small moon. It absorbed radar and light, leaving only a shadow behind. The Tarkon general growled, his claws scraping the table. "That's no ship. That's a planet-eater." The Veshian telepath shivered, her voice echoing in the minds of everyone present. "It has no mind. I cannot sense it. It's like a hole in existence." Admiral Hale folded his arms. "We faced machines, monsters, and tyrants. We'll face this too. What do we call it?" Silence hung in the air for a moment. Then Lyra Vaughn whispered the name that would echo through history, the Leviathan. The Alliance began to prepare for the worst. Scouts were sent. Fleets were gathered. Worlds fortified their defenses. Yet as the Leviathan drifted through space, it did nothing for a time. It seemed to study, to wait, but then it moved. Its first target was the mining world Juno 4, a human colony known for producing starship-grade alloys. The planet's defense grid opened fire as soon as the object appeared, but their weapons vanished mid-flight, absorbed into its hull like drops of water on a hot stone. Within an hour, the Leviathan had surrounded the planet in a field of pure darkness. When the field faded, the planet was gone. Not destroyed, missing. All that remained was a sphere of empty space. Panic spread across the Alliance worlds. The Leviathan was beyond understanding. It didn't fight, it erased. No weapon touched it. No scanner could read it. It was as if the laws of physics themselves bowed to its will, and yet in the command chambers of the Iron Resolve, Admiral Hale stood firm. "We are the Deathworld Alliance," he said to his officers. "Our worlds tried to kill us every day of our lives, and we survived. We'll survive this too." The room fell silent, but his words carried strength, because deep down every member of that alliance knew one truth, the same truth that had brought them together. No matter how powerful the enemy, Deathworlders never give up, and somewhere beyond the stars, the Leviathan kept moving, silent and unstoppable, as if it was searching for something or someone. The Alliance didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning of the greatest test in their history. Part 2. The arrival of the Leviathan. The Deathworld Alliance had prepared as best they could. Fleet formations stretched across the edge of the Ziffer Belt, a system of asteroids and empty moons that offered some natural defense. Human engineers reinforced starships with hybrid alloys, combining Tarkon steel, Veshian telepathic shielding, and drone energy fields. Every cruiser, destroyer, and fighter was armed to the teeth. But even with these preparations, no one knew how to fight the Leviathan. Captain Mauritane of the human cruiser Iron Resolve stood on the bridge, eyes fixed on the dark point moving steadily through the stars. The Leviathan. It was bigger than any fleet, bigger than any station. Even from millions of kilometers away, its presence was terrifying. "Captain," said Lieutenant Soren, a Tarkon officer, his deep voice echoing, "sensors cannot penetrate it. Weapons cannot touch it. It's perfect." Mara clenched her fists. "Nothing is perfect. We just need to find its weakness." The Leviathan had moved silently for months, consuming entire colonies without warning. Each disappearance left the Alliance in shock, but it also gave them time to adapt. Scientists pored over data, engineers tested weapons, and pilots drilled maneuvers. Every species contributed their knowledge. Humans suggested unpredictable patterns and unconventional tactics. Tarkon warriors preferred direct attacks. Veshian telepaths coordinated ships' movements faster than any AI could. Taquar engineers reinforced shields mid-battle. Drone strategists calculated energy absorption rates to survive the Leviathan's attacks. Despite their efforts, no combination seemed enough, and then it struck. At 0400 Galactic time, alarms blared across the fleet. The Leviathan had entered the Ziffer Belt. Its hull shimmered with strange light as if absorbing the star's energy around it. The sensors went blank. Communications scrambled. And then, without warning, it released a pulse. a wave of energy that stretched across the fleet. Fighter squadrons were tossed like toys. Cruisers shuddered, shields overloading. Even the Iron Resolve trembled as if the ship itself feared the Leviathan. "Brace for impact," Mara shouted. The Leviathan did not fire weapons, it didn't need to. Its mere presence disrupted technology, bending energy and matter. When it reached the fleet, ships began colliding. Fighters spun out of control, drones self-destructed in mid-space. The human, Tarkon, and alien pilots fought to regain control, but the Leviathan moved faster than they could react. From the bridge of the Iron Resolve, Mara saw a cruiser disappear. Not an explosion, just gone. A blank space where it had been. The crew held their breath. Another ship vanished, and another. "Keep firing," she yelled. "Do not give up," Lieutenant Soren growled. "Captain, it is absorbing our weapons. All energy, gone." Mara's jaw tightened. They had expected this, but not so soon. "We have to adapt faster than it does," she thought. She turned to her science officer, Dr. Lyra, the Taquar engineer who first discovered the Leviathan's signal. "Any ideas?" Mara asked. Lyra's compound eyes scanned the display. "It's learning. Every attack we launch, it adjusts almost instantly. If we hit it in one way, the next attempt fails. We are not dealing with a ship. It is an evolving entity." "Then we evolve faster," Mara said firmly. The fleet attempted a new strategy. Small squadrons would scatter in unpredictable patterns, firing improvised weapons designed to confuse the Leviathan. Human pilots launched asteroids packed with nuclear charges, while Tarkon warriors piloted heavy assault ships directly into its projected path. Veshian telepaths synchronized fleet movements, creating phantom formations to mislead it. The Leviathan paused, as if surprised. Its surface shimmered, then launched a series of energy pulses. A human destroyer, the Sentinel, was sliced in half. Tarkon boarding ships were hurled like rocks. Fighters evaporated in flashes of white light. Yet the smaller attacks worked in one way. They distracted it, even if briefly. Mara saw her opportunity. "Prepare boarding pods," she ordered. "We need to get inside that thing. If we can't destroy it from the outside, we'll go to the source." Her officers exchanged worried looks. Boarding the Leviathan was considered suicide. Its hull was impervious. Its internal structure was unknown, and yet, humanity had always done the impossible. As the Iron Resolve approached the Leviathan, Mara felt a strange pull. The ship wasn't just moving, it was intelligent. It was learning, testing, and anticipating, and yet something else was there too, something almost curious, Captain, said Lyra. "I detect energy fluctuations inside. It's not hostile in the way we expected. It reacts like..." "It's aware," Mara frowned. "Aware or calculating?" Lyra shook her head. "Hard to say. But it isn't attacking us directly. Not yet. Perhaps it wants to observe before it strikes fully." Mara took a deep breath. "Then we'll give it something to observe, our courage." She ordered the first wave of boarding pods to launch. Tarkon warriors, human soldiers, and Taquar engineers rode the pods, shields active, weapons ready. The pods hit the Leviathan's hull and stuck, magnets holding them in place. The outer hull's surface rippled under their feet, but it didn't crush them. Not immediately. Inside, the environment was alien. Corridors shifted and moved as though the Leviathan itself were alive. Lights pulsed like a heartbeat, and strange energy fields hummed through the walls. The boarding team advanced carefully, weapons trained ahead. Suddenly, one corridor shifted, closing behind them. A group of Tarkon warriors blocked their path, but a wall separated them. Panic rose. They were trapped inside a living machine. Mara's voice came through the comms. "Stay calm. Every Deathworlder here knows how to survive the impossible. Move forward, together." They advanced, using improvised tools to bypass shifting corridors. Veshian telepaths projected a mental map, guiding teams through the ever-changing interior. Every step felt like a puzzle, and every room tested their instincts. Yet the crew adapted as only Deathworlders could. Outside, the fleet continued the battle. Human engineers adjusted energy shields in real time. Tarkon ships blocked pulses of energy, and drone strategists calculated absorption patterns to minimize losses. Even as ships disappeared, morale did not break. Humans cheered over comms when a squadron survived a near-impossible attack. Veshian voices calmed panicking crews. The Taquar rerouted energy to protect weaker ships. The Leviathan had underestimated them. Inside, Mara and her boarding team reached what appeared to be the core. A vast chamber pulsed with energy. light bending in impossible ways. Machines of unknown purpose floated in patterns that seemed almost organic. Lyra stepped forward, her voice trembling with excitement. This is it, the heart of the Leviathan. Suddenly, a wave of energy struck. The floor quaked and the team was thrown to the walls. Mara struggled to her feet. It's defending itself. Be ready. They fired, but their weapons barely phased it. The Leviathan was a living fortress. Every attack was absorbed, every defense countered. And yet Mara noticed something small. The energy pulses had a rhythm, a pattern, a beat almost like a heartbeat. Perhaps if they synchronized their actions, they could communicate. Not with words, but with force. Hold the line, Mara ordered. We fight differently now. Observe, learn, and act together. We are Deathworlders. We survive. The Leviathan's pulse came again, stronger, shaking the hull. But Mara's team mirrored it, pushing energy back, redirecting it, using their combined instincts. The pulse hit the walls, and for the first time, the Leviathan recoiled slightly. Did you see that? Whispered Lyra. It reacted. Mara nodded. It's alive. And it can learn. We can't destroy it by force alone. We have to outthink it, survive, and adapt faster. As night fell across the Zephyr belt, the first real lesson was clear. The Leviathan was not invincible. But it was intelligent, adaptive, and dangerous beyond imagination. The Deathworld Alliance had survived impossible worlds before. They had survived tyrants and cosmic disasters. And now, they faced something that might be the ultimate test. Mara stared into the void, knowing the fight was far from over. Humanity and their allies had learned one truth that every Deathworlder knew instinctively. Survival isn't about strength alone. It's about courage, creativity, and refusing to surrender, no matter the odds. The Leviathan continued moving through space, observing, learning, waiting, and the Deathworld Alliance was ready to meet it again. The first battle had ended, but the Leviathan had not been defeated. The Deathworld Alliance counted their losses and tried to understand what they faced. Ships were gone. Colonies were destroyed. Even the strongest fleets struggled to scratch the Leviathan's immense hull. Admiral Ronan Hale, aboard the Iron Resolve, stared at the holotable, tracing the path of the Leviathan as it drifted silently through space. Its movements were unpredictable and its intelligence was undeniable. This isn't just a machine, he muttered. It's alive, and it's learning. Lieutenant Soren, the Tarkon officer, slammed his clawed hand on the console. Alive or not, it is killing our people. We cannot wait for it to strike again. We need a plan, something they cannot anticipate. Captain Mara Tane, standing next to Hale, nodded. She had seen her crew's bravery, their ingenuity, and their willingness to sacrifice themselves. But this time, bravery alone would not be enough. They needed more than courage, they needed a gamble. Prepare the hybrid systems, Mara ordered. Human engineers, Tarkon builders, Taquar inventors, and drone energy specialists gathered around the central workshop. For weeks, they had been combining the most advanced technology from each species into experimental ships. The idea was simple. If conventional attacks failed, they needed weapons that adapted as fast as the Leviathan did. The first hybrid ship was a marvel of engineering. Its hull was made from layers of metal alloys reinforced with drone energy shields. Tarkon plasteel added strength, while human adaptive targeting systems could adjust firing patterns in milliseconds. Veshian telepaths coordinated its systems, allowing it to react faster than AI or manual control ever could. This ship, Mara said, gazing at it, is designed to think as fast as it fights. But it's not enough to survive on technology alone. We'll need people who can match the Leviathan's learning speed. Hale raised an eyebrow. You mean neural link pilots? Mara nodded. Neural link pilots were humans trained to merge their consciousness with their ship's systems. Their minds would operate the ship in perfect synchronization, responding to danger and adjusting tactics faster than any program could. But it was dangerous. Many past attempts had ended in brain fatigue or death. Then we'll need volunteers, Hale said. Hands shot up across the bridge. Soldiers, engineers, and pilots, humans and aliens alike, were willing to risk everything. Mara chose the bravest and most disciplined crew members, ensuring that each team had a mix of experience, courage, and adaptability. Weeks passed in preparation. The hybrid ships were tested in simulations, and neural link pilots learned to merge with them. At first, there were failures. Some pilots experienced hallucinations, some systems overloaded, but humans were nothing if not persistent. Dr. Lyra, the Taquar engineer, developed a device to stabilize the neural connection, allowing pilots to fully synchronize with their ships without harming their minds. It's not perfect, she admitted, but it gives us a chance. Finally, the day arrived. The Deathworld Alliance fleet gathered at the edge of the Zephyr Belt, the Leviathan's last known path. The hybrid ships, controlled by Neuralink pilots, were at the forefront, ready to face the living behemoth. Mara stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, watching her teams board their vessels. Her heart beat faster than it had in months. She had led fleets before, faced cosmic storms, and survived impossible worlds, but this was different. They were not just fighting. They were gambling the lives of their best people against something that could erase entire planets. The Leviathan appeared as if it had been waiting. Its massive hull reflected starlight like a dark mirror. Energy rippled across its surface. It pulsed, almost in time with the hybrid ship's shields, as if aware of their arrival. "Stay sharp," Mara said. "We test it. We learn from it, and then we adapt." The first wave of hybrid ships launched. Neuralink pilots felt their consciousness expand into the ship, sensing every system, every weapon, every energy flow. They moved as one. The Leviathan's pulse came immediately, shaking the fleet. But this time the ships did not falter. They adjusted mid-pulse, redirecting energy and maintaining formation. Mara's heart soared. They were holding their own. The Leviathan reacted. Its hull shimmered and projected energy waves toward the hybrid ships. Fighters spun out of control. Cruiser shields flared, and then the unexpected happened. The Leviathan began to mirror their attacks. It was learning. "Remember, Deathworlders survive by thinking, not just fighting," Mara said over comms. "Adjust, be unpredictable." The Neuralink pilots understood instinctively. Instead of firing predictably, they varied patterns, launching decoys and even sacrificing small drones to mislead the Leviathan. Every maneuver was a lesson in adaptability. For the first time, the Leviathan hesitated. Its energy pulses flickered, its massive hull rippling with strain. The hybrid ships pressed forward, exploiting tiny openings, threading through gaps in the Leviathan's defenses. Inside the hybrid vessels, pilots could feel their minds working as one with the ship. Humans sensed Tarkhan's strength, Veshian telepathy, Taquar engineering efficiency, and drone shielding. Every instinct combined into one unified purpose: survive and fight smarter than the Leviathan. Mara watched the battle unfold. Outside, the fleet fought desperately. Human cruisers provided support. Tarkhan ships blocked energy pulses. Veshian telepaths coordinated squadron movements. And drone strategists predicted the Leviathan's next moves. "Captain," said Soren, pointing to a small gap in the Leviathan's surface. "There. The energy readings, its core may be exposed if we strike there." Mara nodded. "Neuralink teams target the core. Everyone else hold the line." The hybrid ships surged forward. The Leviathan responded, sending waves of energy toward them. Some ships were thrown aside, others barely maintained control. But the Neuralink pilots stayed focused, synchronized with their ships, and adapted faster than the Leviathan could predict. One by one, they penetrated the surface. Inside, corridors shifted and moved, testing their instincts. The Leviathan's interior was like a living labyrinth, alive and reactive. But the pilots pressed on. They moved as one, anticipating shifts, bypassing energy fields and avoiding lethal traps. Finally, Mara received a transmission from Lyra, who had joined the boarding team. "Captain, the core is ahead. It's huge, and it's alive. It reacts to thought, not just force," Mara swallowed. "Then we think together. Everyone focus. We adapt, we survive, and we guide it to understand us." The hybrid ships linked their systems, sending energy pulses in controlled sequences, almost like a language. The Leviathan paused, its pulses slowing, almost as if it was observing and learning from them. Mara realized something profound. The Leviathan was not evil. It was not attacking out of malice. It was intelligent, curious, and calculating. They had assumed they were fighting a weapon. In truth, they were facing a being. "Humanity has always survived impossible odds," Mara said quietly. "Now it's time to show them why." The hybrid ships circled the core, sending pulses of energy that mirrored its own patterns. Slowly, the Leviathan's hull stabilized. It stopped destroying ships. It hesitated, paused, and then it allowed them closer. Mara's voice came over the comms. "We have a chance. Approach the core carefully. Observe, learn, and adapt." Inside the hybrid ships, pilots felt an unspoken connection to the Leviathan. For the first time, fear was replaced by understanding. They were not just fighting, they were communicating, in a way that no one had thought possible. The Deathworld Alliance had learned a crucial truth. Survival was not only about force, but also about intelligence, courage, and unity. And for the first time, they were on the verge of understanding their enemy. The battle was not over, but hope had returned. The Leviathan, the most dangerous ship they had ever faced, had revealed a crack in its defenses, and humanity, with its allies, had seized the first advantage. Mara stared into the void, knowing that their gamble had worked. For now. But the Leviathan was still alive. It was still learning. And the true test of the Deathworld Alliance had only just begun. The Deathworld Alliance had survived the first direct engagement with the Leviathan. The hybrid ships, guided by neural link pilots, had penetrated its core, and even learned to communicate in a strange way with the living vessel. Yet the victory was only partial. Outside, the Leviathan's size and strength were overwhelming, and every fleet ship was stretched to its limits. Admiral Ronan Hale studied the holotable, lines representing Alliance ships trembling as they tried to keep pace with the Leviathan's movements. "We can hold it for now," Hale said, "but our losses are increasing. We need more support, more firepower, more brains." Captain Mauritane, standing beside him, frowned. "We've used everything at our disposal. Humans, Tarkhan, Veshian, Taquar, Drome. We've reached the edge of what our alliance can do." Hale shook his head. "Sometimes help comes from places you don't expect." The first sign came as strange signals in subspace. Alien fleets, long considered rivals or neutral parties, began appearing on the edge of Alliance space. At first, Alliance officers were suspicious. The newcomers were numerous and organized, their ships sleek and powerful. Communications were unclear. Were they spies? Mercenaries? Or worse, servants of the Leviathan? But then a bold transmission cut through the tension. "We are not your enemies," said a voice, melodic yet firm. "We have seen the Leviathan. It is not a conqueror, it is a threat to all life. We join you in this fight." The voice belonged to the Aranai, a bird-like species from a high-gravity planet. Their ships glimmered with bright energy, capable of striking at impossible distances. They were followed by the Xiphons, a crystalline race whose bodies resonated with energy, allowing them to manipulate the battlefield in ways the Alliance had never imagined. And then came the Velari, shadowy beings who could cloak entire ships and scout the Leviathan without being detected. Hale stared in awe. "They're offering to fight with us." "Not against us," Mara smiled. "Then we accept." Today the galaxy fights as one. Integration of the new forces began immediately. Alliance officers worked tirelessly to coordinate the strategies of these unknown species with their existing fleet. It was not easy. Communication styles, weapons, and tactics were completely different. But the urgency of survival forced cooperation. Veshian telepaths worked overtime, linking human and alien minds into a single network. Tarkhan generals trained Aranai pilots in close combat boarding techniques. Taquar engineers shared knowledge with Xiphon crystal manipulators to reinforce shields. Even the Velari scouts relayed crucial intelligence about the Leviathan's movement patterns. Mara knew the key to victory would be coordination. Alone, the Alliance had been strong. Together with these new species, they became formidable. The Leviathan, massive and terrifying, continued toward the Zephyr Belt. Its pulses of energy still disrupted fleet formations, and its interior corridors remained alive and shifting. But now the Deathworld Alliance had grown. The first joint assault began with a synchronized strike. Human and Tarkhan fighters led the charge, weaving through the Leviathan's defensive pulses. Aranai ships fired energy beams from a distance, striking precise weak points revealed by Veshian telepathic predictions. Xiphon crystal emitters destabilized sections of the Leviathan's outer hull, causing small openings for boarding teams. Velari scouts shadowed the path ahead, guiding hybrid ships through safe corridors. For the first time, the Leviathan seemed genuinely challenged. Its energy pulses flickered, then intensified in rapid succession, almost as if it were angry. Mara's neural link team advanced deeper into the ship. Each pilot could feel the Leviathan's awareness, its intelligence, and its calculations. They had learned from their last engagement, and now they were prepared to push back, not just survive. But the Leviathan was clever. It adapted faster than expected. Sections of the ship began to seal off, corridors shifted unpredictably, and energy barriers blocked progress. Boarding teams faced traps designed to confuse and separate them. "Stay calm," Mara instructed over comms. "Every Deathworlder here knows how to survive impossible odds. Move together and use everything we've learned." The new allies proved invaluable. Arinai pilots used their speed and gravity manipulation to help teams dodge energy surges. Xiphons formed crystalline bridges over deadly pulses, allowing Tarkon warriors to continue advancing. Valari scouts uncloaked to reveal shifting corridors, giving neural link pilots a chance to plan their movements. Mara realized that survival was no longer about human ingenuity alone. It was about unity, the combined strengths of many species working as one. Meanwhile, Admiral Hale coordinated the outer fleet. He watched as combined ships launched waves of energy to distract the Leviathan, while hybrid vessels penetrated its core. The Arinai beams and Xiphon pulses struck in precise sequences, forcing the Leviathan to divide its attention. Even its vast intelligence struggled to adapt to so many different attacks at once. Mara, observing her boarding teams, noticed something remarkable. The Leviathan was not just reacting, it was learning from them. But their adaptation was faster. Every new pulse, every new attack was met with a human-alien counter. They had created a system the Leviathan could not fully predict. Inside the Leviathan, Mara's neural link team approached a massive chamber. The walls pulsed with energy, casting eerie shadows across the corridors. Lyra Vaughn's voice trembled slightly as she studied the core. "Captain, this is unlike anything I've ever seen. The core, it's alive. It's reacting to thought and energy simultaneously. We're not just in a ship. We're inside a living intelligence," Mara swallowed. "Then we communicate through action. Every pulse we send, every sequence we create is a message. We show it we are not a threat in the way it expects." The hybrid ships outside continued their synchronized attack, carefully designed to appear chaotic but precise in purpose. The Leviathan's pulses slowed. Energy waves became smaller, less destructive. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the massive ship began to respond. Mara realized the truth. The Leviathan was intelligent, but not malicious. Its destruction of colonies was not vengeance or malice. It was curiosity misapplied, a need to learn about the galaxy around it. They had assumed they were fighting a mindless weapon, but in reality, they were dealing with a being capable of understanding reason. "Maybe it's learning from us, but not to harm," Mara said. "Maybe it's learning to understand cooperation, not just attack." The hybrid ship sent energy pulses designed to mirror the Leviathan's own rhythms. Neural link pilots adjusted constantly, improvising sequences faster than the ship could adapt. Slowly, the Leviathan's movements changed. It no longer attacked with full force. It paused, observing almost as if it were considering the strange new alliance before it. Mara felt hope bloom in her chest. The Leviathan could be reasoned with, if only they continued to show intelligence, courage, and unity. The outer fleet, now reinforced with alien allies, pressed the advantage. The Arinai beam ships struck at long range, distracting sections of the Leviathan's hull. Xiphon manipulators created energy corridors for boarding teams to advance safely. Valari scouts revealed structural weaknesses previously hidden, and the Deathworld Alliance fighters, moving in perfect coordination, avoided the Leviathan's pulses, exploiting gaps as they opened. For the first time, the Leviathan faced a true challenge. Its pulses slowed. Its hull shimmered with confusion. It paused, allowing boarding teams to reach critical areas. And inside, neural link pilots and engineers worked together to interface with its core, learning its patterns and rhythms. Hale watched the battle unfold from the bridge of the Iron Resolve. He realized something he had always known but had never fully understood. Humanity and the other Deathworlders survived because they could adapt, learn, and unite. And now, the galaxy was witnessing that power multiplied by allies they had never imagined. As night fell across the Ziffer Belt, Mara's neural link team reached a massive chamber at the center of the Leviathan. The core pulsed gently, energy flowing in patterns that were almost musical. The hybrid ships outside formed a protective ring, and alien allies maintained pressure on the Leviathan's hull. Mara whispered into the comms. "We've survived the impossible. Now we show it we can think, we can adapt, and we can cooperate. The galaxy is united. We are unstoppable, together." The Leviathan's core pulsed again, slower this time, almost as if acknowledging their presence. Mara realized the battle was no longer about destruction. It was about understanding. And in that moment, the Deathworld Alliance, bolstered by unexpected allies, had taken the first step toward turning the galaxy's deadliest ship into something else entirely. The Leviathan's core pulsed gently, a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Inside, Maratane's neural link team stood ready, their hybrid ships orbiting protectively. Outside, the Deathworld Alliance fleet, now reinforced by their unexpected alien allies, held formation, scanning every inch of the massive living vessel. The battle had changed. It was no longer a simple fight. The Leviathan was intelligent, but it was also curious, and for the first time it had paused to observe. Mara gazed at the core's pulsing light. "This is it," she said. "We understand now. It's alive, not malicious. It only wants something." "But what?" Dr. Lyra Vaughn, the Taquar engineer who had joined the boarding team, examined the energy patterns. "It's not attacking us anymore. Its energy flows respond to our pulses, almost as if it's thinking. We can communicate." Mara's heart quickened. After weeks of fighting, of losing ships and comrades, after facing a being that could erase entire planets without effort, they had discovered a way to reach it. They could reason with it. Outside, Admiral Ronan Hale coordinated the fleet. Human cruisers, Tarkon shockships, Veshian telepaths, Xiphon manipulators, Aranai long-range units, and Valari scouts maintained the blockade, keeping the Leviathan in position. Every pulse of energy from the Leviathan was met with a corresponding, controlled pulse from the Alliance fleet, carefully designed to demonstrate cooperation instead of attack. Hale's voice came over the comms to Mara. "It's responding. The Leviathan isn't hostile. It's learning faster than we thought. But we need to guide it carefully, show it we can coexist." Mara nodded, turning to the neural link pilots. "Everyone focus. Our goal is not to destroy. Our goal is to survive, and to teach it the value of cooperation." Inside the core chamber, the team sent controlled energy pulses in sequences that mirrored the Leviathan's rhythms. Neural link pilots adjusted instantly, combining intuition and calculation. The vessel's pulses responded. Slowly, patterns emerged. The Leviathan was not trying to kill them. It was testing them, trying to understand if they were a threat. Dr. Vaughn observed the data on her portable scanner. "Captain, it's adapting to us, but in a different way. It seems capable of reasoning, not just reacting. If we can align our pulses, we can influence its decisions." Mara's mind raced. She realized that the Leviathan was a survivor like them. It had been shaped by the galaxy in a way they could understand. It consumed dead worlds not to destroy life, but to sustain itself, to survive. And it had no one to teach it restraint until now. Mara turned to her team. "We can't fight this with weapons. We can only fight with understanding. Match your pulses with the core's. Show it that cooperation is stronger than destruction. The galaxy can survive, if it learns with us." The neural link pilot synchronized with the core, sending energy patterns that were gentle yet precise. Slowly, the Leviathan's core slowed its pulse further, its movements becoming less erratic. The living vessel paused, hovering in the void, as if studying the Alliance's intentions. Outside, the fleet mirrored this calm. Energy weapons were lowered, shields maintained defensively but without aggression. Aranai beams glimmered in the distance. Xiphon crystals resonated in harmony, and Valari scouts hovered silently, observing every ripple of the Leviathan's hull. The Deathworld Alliance had transformed a battle into a conversation, and then something remarkable happened. A part of the Leviathan's hull opened, not violently but deliberately. A passage appeared, revealing the vast glowing interior. It was as if the Leviathan were offering itself to their understanding. Mara's heart pounded. They had reached the point where a true connection could be made. "Prepare to interface," Mara instructed. "We go in fully together. One mind, one purpose." The neural link pilots advanced carefully. Their ships moved as one, weaving through the open corridor. Mara could feel the Leviathan's intelligence around them, curious, cautious, and immensely powerful. She sent a pulse, a question in energy form. Are we a threat? The Leviathan responded with a rhythm, a pulse that matched theirs, slower now, almost gentle. A wave of relief washed over the team. They had made the first real connection with the living ship. Mara knew the next step would define humanity's place in the galaxy. We show it another way, she said. We demonstrate life's value, not destruction. The Leviathan's internal environment shifted. Chambers realigned. Energy flows pulsed in ways that mirrored the patterns the team had been sending. The vessel was learning cooperation. It had never experienced allies before, species working together for survival rather than domination. Outside, Admiral Hale and the fleet could see the changes too. Energy pulses from the Leviathan were now synchronized with the Alliance fleet's shields and weapon flows. Ships that had been lost to earlier attacks remained safe. The Leviathan was responding to life, not to threat. For the first time in centuries, a weapon of unimaginable power was at peace. Mara spoke into her comms. We need to communicate clearly. Show it what life can be, what intelligence and collaboration can achieve. Use the pulses. Match rhythms. Show restraint, courage, and unity. The crew followed her instructions perfectly. Neural link pilots combined their energy with the core, demonstrating patterns that represented survival, coexistence, and collaboration. Human ingenuity, Tarkon courage, Veshian coordination, Taquar engineering, drone shielding, and the alien allies' skills all merged into one magnificent display. The Leviathan pulsed back, this time slowly, deliberately, and with what could almost be described as understanding. It had never experienced this level of cooperation. Never had it faced minds that worked as one to teach it restraint instead of fear. Then came the final test. Mara directed a sequence of energy pulses designed to represent trust. The Leviathan's core rippled in response. It hesitated, and then mirrored the sequence perfectly. The neural link pilots felt the confirmation. The Leviathan had accepted them, not as enemies, not as prey, but as partners. Dr. Vaughn whispered, awestruck. Captain, it understands us. It's peaceful now. Mara smiled, feeling the weight of the galaxy lifting from her shoulders. Humanity and its allies had done the impossible. They had turned the most dangerous ship in the galaxy into a living, understanding ally. Outside, the Leviathan's massive hull glimmered. It rotated slowly, observing the fleet without aggression. The alien allies, humans, Tarkon, Veshian, Taquar, and drone crews all held their breath. It was a moment of triumph, not through destruction, but through intelligence, courage, and unity. Hale spoke over the comms. The Leviathan is alive, intelligent, and now peaceful. We have achieved something no one thought possible. Mara looked at her team, pride swelling in her chest. This is humanity at its best. We survived impossible worlds. We survived tyrants, and today we survived the ultimate test, not by killing, but by showing courage, intelligence, and unity. The Leviathan hovered silently, its pulses in harmony with the Deathworld Alliance fleet. For the first time, the galaxy had witnessed the true power of cooperation. Mara stepped back from the neural link console. We've won more than a battle, she said. We've proven that survival isn't just about strength. It's about courage, adaptability, and the willingness to unite, even with the unknown. Dr. Vaughn nodded. It's alive, but it can now protect life rather than destroy it. It has learned from us. The Allied fleet slowly pulled back, maintaining a respectful formation. The Leviathan moved with them, no longer a threat, but a guardian of the systems it had once unknowingly endangered. Later, on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, Mara addressed the combined crews of humans and allies. Today we faced a force greater than anything we could imagine, and together we prevailed, not with weapons alone, but with intelligence, unity, and courage. This is what it means to be a Deathworlder. This is what it means to be human. Across the galaxy, the story spread. Aliens who had once doubted humanity now saw them in a new light. They had faced annihilation and responded with innovation, collaboration, and the unwavering will to survive. And the Leviathan, once the most dangerous ship in the galaxy, had become a living testament to the strength of life and cooperation. For humanity and the Deathworld Alliance, the lesson was clear. No matter how powerful the enemy, no matter how impossible the challenge, survival was always possible when courage, intelligence, and unity guided every action. The galaxy had been changed forever. The Leviathan was no longer a threat, it was a symbol. A reminder that the will to survive, the heart to understand, and the courage to act together could overcome even the deadliest of adversaries. And humanity, with its allies, had once again proven why Deathworlders were the strongest species the galaxy had ever known.